my fellow fasting foodie friend, it's Jackie, and today we're going to do a get ready with me where I'm going to answer frequently asked questions. I get the same questions regularly on intermittent fasting and my approach and different things that I found to have success. And because I've been doing this for about 1.5 years with fasting and I've integrated keto and I see a lot of the same questions, I thought it would be time to do a question and answer. I've compiled an entire list of all the questions you guys have asked me on my community tab, and I'm going to do my best to answer them all thoroughly. I want to stress that I'm not an expert. I am just a fasting enthusiast, someone that's found a lot of success with intermittent fasting, and as a result, I want to share it with the world. So what I share with you is not an expert or a scientist or a medical point of view. It is the point of view of someone who has a lot of success with fasting and thinks the world should at least be exposed to it to make your own decisions. So let's get ready. I have day 2 here, which means I don't have to wash it today. And as a result, I just put my headband on and I'll deal with that at the end. The very first question I had was about my skincare routine, and I'm gonna go through it really simply because it's a very simple routine. First of all, my skin is much better since fasting. I used to have on my entire forehead, it was kind of like a harvest ground for small pimples. You wouldn't really notice them from afar, but if you were talking to me close distance, it was just my entire forehead was full of acne. And I got rid of it during my early fasting and I started applying apple cider vinegar. It went away and it has never come back. I think the combination of using the acidity of the apple cider vinegar, which was a tip that I learned online, and I've had it for a very, very long time. And then with fasting, my skin altogether cleared up more. It's never come back. I don't use apple cider vinegar anymore, but my forehead just used to be, it was bumps everywhere. What I do is really simple. First, I take a Norwex body cloth. This is microfiber, and I use warm water and I clean my face with water. And then I rinse this out and I hang it up and I use the same one over and over again. So I do that every morning and every night. Gentle on the eyes. I just had LASIK. I have to still be really gentle. Plus, I'm not trying to encourage wrinkles. Rinsing it. I like it to stay really warm. And then after I clean, I use from Aldi, Lacura brand, either the day cream or the night cream. And these are $4.29 a piece. I just continually buy them. I've been doing this maybe 3 or 4 years now, and I really like them. Some people don't like the scent. It doesn't really bother me. I'm very used to it. But the day and the night cream, there is retinol in the night cream and there is no SPF. It never gets super wet, so I'm able to put my day cream on. And we'll move on to the next question. I was asked how I got interested in keto, why I'm doing keto, and how it's going. So why I got into keto has really nothing to do with an interest in adopting the lifestyle or the diet. I decided to try keto because I get so many comments about people, especially in my viral video, where people have mentioned that they do keto along with intermittent fasting, or I get asked why I don't do keto, or if I mention that I haven't really lost much weight since my initial 30 pounds, people bring up keto. You should do keto is what they tell me. So I kind of wanted to do keto so that I could address the comments, essentially. I thought it would make good content, and I thought that if I had experience with keto and just saw what it did, if people left comments or continue to leave comments, which I think they will, about the benefits of keto with fasting, then I actually would have something to say about it if I tried it out. And I'm a curious person, so even though the ketogenic lifestyle is not a diet that I ever want long term, girlfriend loves her potatoes, I was curious enough to try it. And so 4 weeks felt like enough time to have results, but not enough time to where I was doing keto during Thanksgiving. I'm recording this Wednesday. It's coming out on Saturday. Saturday is my second to last day of keto, so I'm almost done. And I am very excited to be done with it. I have been very successful with it. I have lost almost, it kind of is hard because I started on my period and I'm ending on my period. It has messed with my period. I had a very long cycle because of keto, I believe. And then it actually started early, probably because my body is still kind of adjusting to keto. So the weight is fluctuating, but I started at 153 on my period, and right now, this morning, I weighed 146 or 147. Again, like heavy day of my period, so, but I've gotten as low as 145 point something, and prior to keto, I only broke below 150 once, and it was 149.8 in a very stressful time when I wasn't eating a lot, so, it definitely broke my plateau, and I think that is exciting, and I'm going to be sharing a lot of the results. But bottom line, I started keto because of curiosity, and it's going well. Like, I'm very much looking forward to returning to my normal diet, but I'll go into all the details of that in future videos. I've been able to stick with it, and I'm actually really excited to see like what happens when carbs come back into my diet. I'm still going to maintain an intermittent fasting lifestyle, but when the carbs come back, well, I gain all that weight back. I'm hoping not all of it. I would love to stay in the 140s just for a vanity thing. I haven't been in the 140s since I was 20, so. Okay, next, this is the other thing that I do every single day. This is my Supergoop Glow Screen. It is SPF 40 and it's tinted. So it's like a tinted moisturizer sunscreen. Supergoop is a very clean company in respects to like a sunscreen. It's much more clean. I actually was introduced to Supergoop by a business podcast, and I love the story of hearing about it. So then I became a customer. You can see it is tinted, but it's a sunscreen, and it gives like a nice luminance to your skin. So I don't wear foundation. I don't really do much other than wear this. So if I don't wear makeup, I'm still wearing sunscreen because my brother-in-law's girlfriend has the most beautiful skin I've ever seen in my life, and I asked her if she had any tips for me, and she said wear sunscreen every day. So I listened to her advice. But I do think it makes a difference. I love having a tan face, but I would rather just preserve my skin more. So this summer I definitely wasn't as dark as I used to be, but I've really, really enjoyed this product. I love this product. I am not affiliated at all, but it really works well. It has, I don't reapply it throughout the day because it's kind of like a base for me, but that's what I use. Okay, so I'm about to move on to putting concealer on, but we'll move into my next question. So my next question, I'm looking through my makeup here. My next question was, about up days and down days. Do I use, or how often I do down days, and could I describe up days and down days? So down days can be completely skipping your fast or your eating window. So you fast all day, or you can do like a modified down day for alternate, they're both versions of alternate day fasting. And your modified meal can be like a one single meal for 500 calories or less, and that is what I do. I try to do that once a week. I have not done it while I'm doing keto just because I hate tracking the net carbs enough as it is. That is the worst part about keto to me, is it's so much work. I love fasting because I just have an eating window and I enjoy whatever I choose. I don't want to track anything anymore. I did Weight Watchers for far too long to ever want to track again. But the one down day a week, it's pretty easy to come up with a 500 calorie meal. I have things banked that I just know, and then the longer I've done it, the easier it is. Also, in no way am I suggesting that I'm a makeup person, so if I'm doing makeup wrong, you don't need to tell me. I know. I just like to, I'd say about 10% of the time I put concealer under my eyes, but I just did it because we're doing a Get Ready with me. Anyways, back to the topic. Down days, I eat 500 calories on my down day. I do that up to once a week. But I haven't done it during keto, and I also really didn't do it much this summer because my daughter was in surgery recovery and I had too much going on to worry about really myself. So anyways, when I lost all my weight, and I will be starting it again, 1 down day a week. There are 2 benefits to that for me. I'm moving on to a trio of blush, highlighter, and contouring or whatever. I don't know. I don't contour, bronzer. Sorry. I do very little bronzer and more blush. Anyways, so my down days are twofold. One, I think it keeps my body guessing. I don't want the same window every day. I don't want to feel stuck. And I think when I do the down days, it helps my body just never know what's going to happen and get stuck in a rut. I've read that that's something that can happen if you have the same 4-hour window every day. You just don't get the same benefits because your body isn't like, oh, we're going to eat right now. Do I need to go access stored fats? They're like, oh no, if we just wait for 20 hours, we know we'll get food. So having the same window every day, your body can kind of adjust to it and figure out what's going on. Okay, this is a very unofficial makeup step here. It looks too pink to me. It always looks too pink. But I try to get it even, and then I do this. I don't think I should do that. I'm kind of embarrassed that I'm showing you that, but that's how I blend it in. I don't know. I'm kind of crazy. There we go. So there we go. So I like having keeping my body guessing. I tend to pick my down days on days where I'm really busy because it's super easy to do that. I think when I have down days, I'm actually going to incorporate low carb as well, because I found that there are a lot of things that I like that are low calorie and low carb that I've enjoyed. So I have seen benefits. I feel really good doing the keto. I've seen that it helps with my weight loss journey. So if I do low cal and low carb 1 day a week, I think that will it'll help me maintain the weight loss. And then on the flip side, there are up days. So up days, you want to eat at least 2 meals a day, and you want your window to be open at least 6 hours. My guidance, as you guys know, is from Fast, Feast, Repeat. That is the first book I read on intermittent fasting as a way of life and a weight loss tool, and I highly recommend, if you haven't done that, to find the book. But she mentions up days, you should really make sure you're having at least a 6-hour eating window and you're eating at least 2 meals, and so that is the guidance that I follow. I don't have a standard food on those days. I still eat 2 very full meals, and I'll be honest, I usually snack in between. When I have longer windows, it's hard for me not to snack still. So I'm not very good at, I'm doing the highlighter now. I'm not very good at having a long window and not eating more. It's just not something I'm good at. I like to have the shorter windows for the reason of it just is a constraint that helps me not eat too much. So the shorter windows really work well for me. When I have my up days, I like that it is suddenly an ability for me to eat more than I normally would. And usually by the end of the up day, I look forward to my 1 meal a day again, because it just feels like, okay, that was a lot. And I'm usually pretty darn full at the end of the 2nd meal. But I don't have like a standard food that I eat for my 2 meals a day. I just make sure, and it's almost always I eat lunch and dinner. And if I had like a breakfast I wanted to go to with a girlfriend, I usually plan a down day before events. So before Thanksgiving, before Christmas Eve, things that I want to have an entire day of eating, or the freedom, which by the way, I totally consider that I have the freedom to eat every day when I want. I just really, really like having 1 meal a day. It's been very beneficial. But if I wake up on Christmas morning and I want to have Christmas meal with my family, I will still do that. I will wake up and have Christmas breakfast even if I didn't plan a down day. But if I want to plan it out, I could have a down day before a big event. So if I wanted to go to breakfast with a friend, have a down day, and then the next day I will just eat all day long if I want. Or I could eat breakfast and lunch, or I could eat lunch and dinner, or go to brunch, have dinner, and close my window. I just always make sure I eat for 6 hours. And that doesn't mean 6 hours of eating nonstop. It just means I have my window open for at least 6 hours. I also was asked if I worry about getting enough protein on my down days. I'll be honest, I don't track things like protein. I don't track my vegetables, my fruits. I don't track how much water I drink. I don't track electrolytes. I, as a mom, try very hard to have a balanced diet for our family. So we always have fruit, we always have vegetables, and then we always have like carbs with dinner, which I think is really important for kids, obviously. And because I try to have a very balanced meal where you hit all of the, or dairy of course, you hit all of the elements of a balanced diet, I naturally eat that myself. So because we always have fresh fruit around, and we always have fresh vegetables, and we have meats or beans, legumes. I have a vegetarian daughter, so we always have beans or some other protein available for as a substitute for fruit. I don't worry that I'm not eating enough, and even if I don't have a balanced one meal on my down days, I generally make up for it the next day with an up day. So I don't track anything. I will say that I do feel interested in incorporating some sort of like a multivitamin. I don't take that. I really feel like I should, but I need to do research into what really would benefit me as a 34-year-old woman. I want to find the best option for me, and I haven't taken the time to do that. But other than feeling like I should add in some multivitamins into my day, I don't worry about ensuring that I hit levels of electrolytes, protein. I think those are the two. Oh, and water intake. I don't track any of that. But speaking of that, I will say that I do always have water with me, because when I'm fasting, if I feel hungry, it's usually that I'm just thirsty, and if I drink water, my hunger goes away. And I think that having water all the time helps me not feel hungry. It also helps with constipation. That was a question someone asked. If I have ice cold water, I will drink this so much more than if I have to work for it, or like then I'm thirsty and then I have to get up and go make one. Nope, I just constantly keep this full. I in between a cup every couple days, I wash it and I change out my straws, and then it's always available. It doesn't matter if it's 7 in the morning or 10 p.m. at night, this is full of iced cold water, and it helps me drink, but I don't track it. The only thing that I really think water, I notice a huge difference in, is if I'm not drinking enough water, I do get constipated. Which brings me to another question. So constipation is a biggie with intermittent fasting, because I'm looking for my eyeshadows now. You want to poop and you want to feel good. However, I have struggled with constipation ever since I became an intermittent faster. Well, that's a lie. First, I struggled with diarrhea every day. I know that's gross. No one wants to hear that, but it's true. After I got through my initial, every time I opened my eating window, I had to run to the toilet. Then it went the other way where I was constipated. I'm moving on to eyeshadow. This is a trio eyeshadow. I heard when I was 13 that blue eyes should wear brown eyeshadow, and that's pretty much been my go-to ever since. So I love brown, gold, shimmery palettes. I do love shimmer. So I'm gonna move on with this. But, so I'm gonna look in this camera because I can actually see my eyes then. Wait, first I'm gonna do some cream on the base because I always like that. So this is called Pink Glow. All the makeup I use is from a brand called Pharmacy. A girlfriend started selling it, and it is basically an MLM. I'm not a distributor. I'm not trying to get you to sign up under me, but I do really like their makeup, and they're held to European standard. They're a Turkish company, and I just think they have nice clean makeup and skincare and a bunch of different things. But I really like their makeup, so that's what I'm doing. Anyways, constipation. That's the topic. If I don't drink enough water, I get constipated. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. And if I feel really backed up, I just start guzzling water, and it usually helps. In addition, I take one of these every single day. Well, I try to take one every single day if I remember in my eating window. It is extra strength magnesium, 400 milligrams. I'm not prescribing this to anyone, so if you are wondering if you should take it, do research, see, but it's an over-the-counter supplement that you can take. This is nature made. Again, not affiliated, not an expert, but it works well for me. It says it supports nerve, heart, and bone health. It supports muscle relaxation, and I was turned on to magnesium in a Facebook group for fasting where someone said it really helped with their constipation, and a lot of others concurred, and I am here to tell you I agree. So by drinking enough water and taking a magnesium pill every day, I really don't deal with constipation anymore. If I start to forget my magnesium or I'm slipping on water, I can tell it makes a difference, and I instantly go back. trying to blend in my cream. That cream's getting a little old, so I have a new one. I'm just trying to not waste it all. So that's how I deal with constipation. The next question is my primary care physician or healthcare providers, are they on board with me fasting? And the short answer to that is yes. I have been to the eye doctor and my eyesight improved. I've talked about that before. And he said he was not surprised because losing 30 pounds can definitely change the insulin levels, which can change your eyesight. He said additionally they see it in diabetic patients when they lose weight, that they suddenly, their eyesight changes. So he had nothing bad to say about fasting, but the one I actually cared about is my primary care physician. She hadn't seen me because of the pandemic. I just hadn't been in. And when I came in, I was 30 pounds lighter. I decided at age 33 I should probably go to the doctor more than when I'm just sick. So I started doing an annual physical, and I was 30 pounds lighter, and we did blood tests, and everything came back really good, and my fatty liver was no longer present on blood tests. And I think because she could see that I was healthier via blood test, and because I obviously had lost weight and was feeling really good, I don't know if I told her before I lost all the weight and had the good blood test. I don't know what her reaction would have been, but she was extremely supportive and said that she's hearing more and more people doing fasting, and she had zero issues with it. And so I had her blessing, her stamp of approval. Okay, so here are my shimmery eyes before we move on. I do something different every day. I just use lots of neutral, browny, goldy colors, and I like eyeshadow. That's what I wear the most. Okay, next, eyeliner. This is the only thing that I don't use. It's pharmacy. It's e.l.f. I absolutely love this eyeliner. It's $2. I've been using this for years, and when I buy it on their website, they usually have like $25 as free shipping. I buy $25 of this, and I just keep it in stock because I love it so much. So we're going to go with that next. This question was asked in my community tab. Well, I get it so often on my videos. I think because people assume that losing weight with just changing to one meal a day wasn't enough, and that I probably had to work out really hard. That's why I get asked this. Okay, so the question is, do I work out? And what is my routine? How often? Yada, yada, yada. So I have made a video on if I work out. The short answer is I try to walk every day. I had set a goal in 2021 to walk 500 miles. I'm currently at 414 miles of the 500, which, when I think about it really quickly, 500 miles, when I think of it really quickly, 500 miles sounds like a lot, but when you think of the fact that there's 365 days in a year, it really isn't that much. So yes, I work out, but it's walking. And here's the other thing. I've lived here almost 14 years. I have walked the same path, the same streets for over 13 years, and I've never lost 30 pounds. So do I work out? Yes. It's a low pace, like 19-minute miles. I just enjoy it. I do it for my mental health more than physical health because I enjoy the clarity. I enjoy listening to podcasts. It's a mental break for me, and it's something that I just feel like is good for me. So also I like going out in my neighborhood. I don't know why, I just do. So yes, I work out. I do not believe it contributed to my weight loss goals. Obviously, I don't think it hurt. I also have an elliptical that I got after my 10-year-old was born, so it's 10 years old, and I've had that, and I use that if I can't walk in my neighborhood, but I do count those miles the same. So like I said, my goal is 500 miles for the year. I'm not quite there, but if I hit that, that's a little over a mile a day, so it's not that strenuous. I do have things like a weighted hula hoop and a kettlebell. I use those so infrequently that it would really be disingenuous to tell you that I use them, but I do enjoy them and I don't dislike working out. It's just not something that I do. We have a basketball court. We like to play things like pig, or I go to the park with my kids and I try to be active, but I wouldn't say that it's like, you wouldn't consider me an athlete by any means. So yes, I work out in the walking. That is my routine, is I try to walk every day, or it doesn't happen every day. I'm now plucking my eyebrows. So I don't do much with my eyebrows. I don't color them in 99% of the time, but I try not to let them get too big because as you can see, they're pretty big on their own. So I just try to clean up underneath. As I continue with my eyebrows, we're gonna go to the next question. Is my husband on board with fasting? So, funny story for you, my husband, ever since we've been married, skips lunch doesn't eat lunch or breakfast, I'd say 3 work days a week, because he doesn't pack a lunch, he doesn't want to pack a lunch, and he doesn't want to spend money going out to eat every day. So when he does that, he comes home and he's ready for dinner. So we eat dinner around 4:30 to 5 every day. And he'd come home really hungry, and I'd always say, that's your problem, not mine. You chose not to eat lunch or breakfast. And then he would eat dinner and he'd snack the rest of the night, which used to drive me crazy because my husband has never had to worry about weight. But anyways, long story short, he is like a part-time intermittent faster where he'll eat 1 meal and snacks 3 or 4 times a week without calling himself an intermittent faster. So it's not like he tracks windows, and it's not like he purposely doesn't eat if someone, you know, brought in something to work that looked really good to him. It's not like he's like, nope, not my eating window. But for the most part, he just naturally would not eat breakfast or lunch 3 or 4 times a week, and he still does that. So when I brought up to him that I was going to start intermittent fasting, I'm someone with a lot of ideas and a lot of plans, and I think he was like, okay, Jackie, good luck with that. And because I was eating dinner and still preparing the meal that we ate together as a family, he didn't have any issue with it or really much of an opinion, but I don't think he thought it would actually like change my life the way that it has, and he's been really supportive. So in no way do I ask my family to change what they're doing. I make my own choices, and I ask them to not be upset if it is not what they think I should do. So if we go to get, like, we once went and got steak and shakes, my whole family, we were out running errands, and I didn't want one because it wasn't my eating window. So I just don't want my family to be like, Mom, get a shake, come on, participate with us. Like, it shouldn't matter to them, and it doesn't. So they don't harp on me. So because it doesn't really impact him, he doesn't really matter or mind. And I don't say that like I have to tiptoe around him to make sure it doesn't impact him. Also, there are times where I'm like, hey, I'm doing a down day, so it'd be great if you guys just had leftovers, and he's usually pretty understanding of that. I used to be our leftover eater, so now I just more incorporate them into a meal. When we have so many leftovers, I'll be like, okay, it's a leftover night, and he's usually on board with it. But I think he sees that it really is good for me and that I really enjoy it and have a lot of interest, so he has no problem with it. I can't tell if this is my dried out one. Here, that is. So I'm putting mascara on now. Also, people are asking if my kids, what they think of my fasting. It took them a while to kind of understand why, and I just have explained it to them that as an adult, I don't need to eat all day long like they do. I'm not growing. My brain isn't developing like theirs is anymore. I don't need the constant energy source that kids do. So I think because they see, Mom doesn't constantly get taller like we do, you know, she doesn't need to grow. It was a concept that was pretty easy for them to understand, and I would explain to them that I've never told them I want to lose weight, but I would explain to them that I want to be healthier, that I want to feel better, that I want to make choices, and I make sure that I don't put any moral label on food. I love food. One of my absolute favorite foods to make and to eat is elephant ears. So I am very conscious of making my kids not feel like there are foods that they can and can't eat. I don't want them to ever feel like, oh, gonna disappoint mom, or can't let someone see me eat this, my favorite food, or whatever. But, you know, we don't also let my kids sit and eat all their Halloween candy in 3 days. We do portions and we do talk about balance, but I think because they see me still enjoying foods and participating, and we'll go out to eat to celebrate. The end of the volleyball season, we'll go out to get ice cream as a family, and I make sure I include stuff that's important to me in my eating window. And because they see that I still participate, that I still eat a lot, I don't think that my kids would ever worry that I'm starving myself. I think they just see that mom wants to take care of herself and that I don't need the same things as kids do. That actually my older daughter, she's 12, she's like, I think I'm gonna fast someday. And I don't feel bad about that. If my 12-year-old was like, I'm gonna do Weight Watchers someday, I'd have some hard feelings with that. And if I consider, oh my gosh, I could have 3 kids that fast someday, I feel like that's a good example to set as opposed to a diet mentality. Now, if my kids are like, they are sharing something, they're like, Mom, is your eating window open? It's very simple to them. It's very normal, and they don't consider it anything weird. So if I say I'm not eating right now, or I'm eating right now, or there are times where I'm like, hey, I'm doing this because my eating window is about to close, so I'm gonna do this quickly. Like if I'm gonna have a bowl of ice cream at 5 at night, doesn't really happen often, but sometimes I want a shorter eating window, but there's also something I want to eat. I'll eat it quick, shut my window, and they'll be like, hey, we don't get dessert right now. I'll say, my eating window is closed, and they know enough about my fasting that they understand that that means mom's not doing the same thing again in 3 hours. So my kids are 5, 10, and 11. They understand and they accept it. All right, I'm gonna brush my hair. 2 hair, as I already said, I put dry shampoo in it last night. I am gonna end up just curling it a bit, but first I need to brush it, and then I'm gonna get it just a little damp so that I can use my Dyson Airwrap to just add some curls back into it, which is what I did yesterday, so it should hold well. But the next question is a couple that are related. So someone asked why it might not be working for them, and it's very hard to tell as far as, I don't know, you said your average window was about 19.6 hours. And you haven't lost weight, you don't weigh yourself, but you can tell. I would encourage you to listen to my video that my dad shared. He said he did intermittent fasting for 6 months and gained 3 pounds, but he kept going with it because he felt better. He did say his clothes were getting a little smaller, but he knew he wasn't losing weight. And then he hit a point, he started doing 1 meal a day, and he started dropping the weight. So he shortened his window a little bit to do the 1 meal a day. I don't know what his window was beforehand exactly, but I just want to encourage you that the only metric shouldn't be weight loss. And I don't know if maybe you're eating too much, or you're eating too much of really crappy food in your window. I don't really know. I would encourage you to play with different lengths of windows. You could add in a down day, and then have an up day, and then have, try to do math, 5 other days with different lengths of windows. I'm guessing since you said average that you do have different lengths of windows every day. I would also kind of play around with what you're eating. Maybe you're eating too much of a certain type of food. I really don't know, because I don't know what you're eating, and I don't know if you're doing the same window every day. Maybe play around with some longer windows, some shorter windows, and see if you can kind of trick your body into jump starting. And I will say that me trying keto for 4 weeks, it really did break through a plateau. I really have lost like 3 pounds since December of last year, 150 to 153. And in December of last year, my low was 153. So really, I haven't lost a lot of weight continuing to do my 1 meal a day since December of 2020. But once I started doing the keto, it really broke through the plateau. So you could change your diet short term to see how that maybe breaks the plateau. Also, I don't know where you started. I started as an overweight individual, but I wasn't 70 pounds overweight. So I don't know if that makes a difference. You might have more adjusting to do before you see the weight loss. But I really encourage you to You could always talk to your physician. I don't know if they're going to be on board with intermittent fasting, so maybe that won't be helpful. So really what I would do is try to evaluate the quality of the food that you're eating, your portions, and while you can eat everything you want in intermittent fasting, you need to evaluate what is good for you, what portions are good for you, and yes, while you can incorporate Doritos, are you eating an entire bag or are you having a handful? So those are things that I would consider. I would also consider reading Fast, Feast, Repeat if you haven't done that. I think there's so much information in there about playing with your windows and really learning what works for you. I know that one meal a day that works really well for me, and having my average eating window is about 2.5 hours on average, and that includes up days. But I like a short eating window. I really like that, but that doesn't mean it works for everyone. So you kind of have to play around, and I just encourage you to stick with it. Don't lose the fasting muscle that you've built up, because starting over again someday is going to be harder, but just play around. What kind of eating windows work well for you? Do you need an up day and a down day approach? Try new things, and I wouldn't give up yet, because things like losing my fatty liver, my eyesight improving, I had a foot fungus for over a decade that disappeared, my acne on my forehead, all of that is non-weight related. I feel really good when I fast. I feel like my mood is better. There are so many things that aren't weight centric that are benefits. So start focusing on those and see if maybe you can reach a point where you break through the plateau, and then you can have the weight loss benefits as well. It's hard to say what is stopping you from losing the weight right now, but I wouldn't give up, and I would keep doing research and keep playing around. That's the best advice I have. This is going to be a voiceover portion, because I'm going to start curling my hair, but I'm going to say my answer, and then you're going to hear it as I'm curling my hair, so it won't align. But why do you have to keep intermittent fasting to not lose or to not gain the weight back? I 100% believe that I'll be an intermittent faster for the rest of my life, and if I don't, I fully expect that my weight's going to gain, because part of the magic of intermittent fasting is that your body taps into fat stores and taps into its own resources when you're not eating. So if you suddenly are not giving it 18, 19, 20, 16, whatever your hours are of time every day to tap into its own fat stores, guess what? It's not going to do it. So if you lose a bunch of weight and your body's used to taking energy from everything that you have stored, it's not going to be able to accumulate the fat cells. Well, if you suddenly change from giving it, for me personally, 18 hours minimum every day to tap into its own resources instead of storing your fat and your fat accumulating on my thighs specifically, if you stop doing that and you're no longer fasting, guess what? Once it stores the fat and you keep eating, it's just going to stay there. You're not going to give it time to continually access that as its fuel source. So yes, intermittent fasting is something you need to do to maintain the weight loss. However, I 100% love intermittent fasting and how I feel. Because I feel so good on intermittent fasting, I don't feel deprived maintaining it. I have every ability to eat longer days when it's important to me. I have every ability to have, if I go on vacation, I can tell you I won't have 18-hour fasts every single day. When I go on vacation, if I go to a wedding, if I have holiday parties that I'm going to, if it's important to me to eat, I have finally adopted the confidence in fasting and getting back on schedule and realizing how good I feel in fasting, that if I have a couple days in a row because of a vacation, or a single day where I have what I used to eat, you know, all day long, or have the ability to eat all day long, it's not going to throw me off my game. I'm not going to gain 40 pounds by doing that every once in a while. And then I always remember how much better I feel fasting, so it's easy to go back. The very final question is, do I get discouraged? And have I ever quit? And how do I handle special events? So special events, I just mentioned, I allow myself to really enjoy them if it's important to me. And I almost always plan it so that I close my windows early enough the day before an important event so that I can still get my 18 hours. It's a little bit of math, but you figure out the time. So if I want to eat at 1 the next day, I close my window at least 18 hours the day before. It's usually pretty easy to do, and I don't have a million events where it's like an everyday math game. If something pops up unexpected. For instance, my husband and I, we had the ability to have a lunch date, and I was only 17 hours into a fast. But guess what? I don't really get to have lunch dates with my husband very much, and I love date time. So he and I met at a park, and I broke my fast at 17 hours. Do we do that regularly? No, but was it worth it to me to get that lunch date with him? And did I thoroughly enjoy it? Yes, I had zero regrets, because I have found a way of life that works for me. It offers flexibility, and I really enjoy having the flexibility when I want it. Well, this is as good as it gets. My final question is, do I ever have disappointments when it comes to fasting? And the short answer is yes. I am not disappointed in the process itself. It's just hard to sometimes shake the diet mentality. I have done Weight Watchers more times than anything else. I have constantly lost and gained the same 10, 20 pounds. So it's hard for me to sometimes, when I bloat for my period, guess what? I still think, did I gain all the weight back? And I know that's extremely irrational. I know it. I know I didn't gain 30 to 35 pounds back by eating poorly one day. And I know I didn't gain 30 to 35 pounds because I'm bloated from my period. And I bloat really big when I'm on my period. It's just part of my body and what I do. So I still struggle with the diet feeling of, did I ruin it? Every once in a while, I can't control it, and it's getting better the longer that I fast, but every once in a while, I feel like I gain every single bit of the weight that I lost back in an instant. And that's just like a mental hurdle that I think will get better as time goes on. Also, even though I weigh in the 140s right now, it's hard for me sometimes, and it's not very often because, let's face it, I'm dressed 99% of the time, but just to realize that even though I've hit a weight goal that I wanted to be at for a long time, I weigh what I used to before I had kids. I don't look the same as what I used to before I had kids. And again, it's a diet type mentality. At 34, 3 kids later, 11-pound baby later, I weighed 217 at the highest when I was pregnant with my son. I'm not gonna look the same after all those body changes. I have breastfed and been pregnant for a total of 8 years of my life. And I'm 34. That's a lot of body changes. Filling up, falling down, deflating, stretching the skin. I'm not gonna look the same at 145 pounds as I did when I was 21 when I weighed 145 pounds. I had nothing that stretched and drooped and sagged then, and now I do. So while fasting itself isn't hard for me anymore because I am very used to it, it is discouraging sometimes as a woman to realize that I will not look the same as I used to. And I know that is 100% normal, that I won't look the same at 34 as I did when I was 20. But I think on the journey, you just kind of have this like, once I'm here, I'll look this way. And it just didn't meet expectations, which I didn't even realize I had. But it is something I struggle with every once in a while, thinking, wow, I thought I would just feel a little bit better when I hit this weight. And I think that's more mental healing that I need than the physical. Okay, so it just dawned on me I didn't do the very last step. Tinted lip balm. This is all I wear on my lips. It is Baby Lips from Maybelline, Cherry. It's my absolute favorite. It's very light. I love the color. Super soft, and I love the smell. Cherry. So this is all I wear is tinted lip balm. And I'm actually really bad at wearing it. So there, my look is complete. Thank you so much for getting ready with me. And if you want to see my 5 tips to get started with intermittent fasting, if you haven't started yet, you can check out this video right here. Thank you so much for watching. Ciao, down and ciao.